What's up, everybody? It's Charles, and we are getting so close to the GTI being back on the road. It has been over a year since I first kind of downed the car, pulled the interior out, and then, of course, did the transmission work. So where we're at today, even though this looks very much, very much like it did the last time I gave you guys an update, as you can see, the transmission is in. You can tell by this horribly nasty starter that we'll be refinishing at some point, of course. Let's look a little bit at what exactly we did with the transmission. Transmission came out, disassembled, found some damage. That 1-2 synchro hub was damaged. So what did I do? I put in a limited slip differential with new differential bearings and races. Of course, we had to measure that preload and put in a new shim, separated the output shaft gear stack, put in a new first gear synchronizer, put in a new 1-2 shift hub, put in a second gear synchronizer, which is pretty cool. It's a multiple piece synchronizer, which should give you more grip surface to easily engage the gear. Did needle bearings for those two gears as well, and then finished it out by rebuilding the gear stack. Really not that challenging of a job. It makes it 1,000 times easier if you have the right tools, and a shop press really does help, although you can really kind of do it without if you have to. Of course, did the TDI 5th gear, which should bring the RPM down on the highway and hopefully get a little bit better fuel economy, which, let's be honest, who cares about fuel economy? But if we're taking on a road trip, I'd like to save $1 or $2 if I can. Did some painting on the case. This is the POR 15 paint. Same stuff I used on the engine block. Replaced most all of the hardware with this very beautiful hardware and beauty washers from Zealous Manufacturing, which makes the transmission look so nice. It's a shame that it's just going to get dirty. Installed the O2J shift tower. This is a pretty minor upgrade, but will give a lot better shift feel. Not so much in the tower on the transmission, really more in the shifter box that's going in the car. In fact, one of the parts I'm waiting on is the Polo shift box, that we're going to take all the shifter parts from the O2J housing that came probably out of a Mark IV and put it all in the Polo box and then install it in the car. And of course, I'll be doing the Diesel Geek shifter bushings, which is kind of like the thing I'm gonna do on all the cars that manual transmission Volkswagens that I own, probably from now on, because it's such a great upgrade. Also, we'll be doing the Sigma short shifter at some point, but what I really wanna do is I wanna get the transmission in the car all back together, make sure we don't have any bugs with the transmission rebuild before introducing yet another failure point or pain point in that transmission and shifter box setup. Once that's all shaken out and, you know, we give it the old stamp of approval, then I'll go ahead and take all that stuff off and do the short shifter from Diesel Geek. It's the same thing I have in the R32. During the rebuild, also installed a pinion brace, which I did have to machine down. I say machine, I had to grind it down a little bit so that it did fit properly. That's actually really common. And a lot of people actually have the transmission case and this pinion brace machined so that it's a proper fit. This is pretty close. If it were machined properly, it'd probably be a little bit better, but hopefully this is not something I ever have to worry about being a failure point. Anyway, also thanks to you guys' recommendations, did the upgraded clutch fork, which is kind of the catalyst for the transmission failure in the first place. Also got the BFI ultralight flywheel refinished and a stage 3 clutch disc. And I'm testing out a setup from BFI that kind of mates 3 different setups together. So I'm not gonna really go deep into what exactly the parts are until I get some testing done on it for them and see how it performs, hoping it performs really, really well, because pulling these Mark III transmissions, honestly guys, is not super fun. But the axles are bolted up, the control arms are bolted up, the new power steering rack is in, all the lines are ran, all the wiring for the engine is done. I also installed the Schimmel oil filter housing, so now we have this cool screw-on style oil filter, which hopefully will make oil changes a little easier. Not that I do it all that much, but it helps. I did have to shave that down a little bit in order to have this AC line fit properly. You could have probably bent the AC line a little bit and it would have been okay, but I wanted to take a little bit off of the filter housing to make it fit a little bit better. That's entirely covered up anyway, so you won't see my grind marks on it ever again. I finally wired in that oil pressure gauge, so now we'll actually be able to monitor oil pressure inside the vehicle, which I should have done before starting it up and before doing it the first time, but I didn't, so we're gonna be able to do it this time. Hopefully it'll never be an issue, but now it's cool because all 3 gauges are actually functioning inside the car. So that brings us up to speed. What do we have left? Well, of course, radiator, condenser all have to go on. We got to fill it with fluids. I'm going to do an oil change. I already changed the oil in the filter housing. We need to do what's in the pan. Power steering fluid. I need to bleed the clutch. We need to put coolant in, of course, because there's no radiator on it. I'm not going to charge the AC system now. I want to shake down the rest of the car. Again, kind of like with the transmission, make sure everything's okay before I charge that AC system, because once that's done, I don't want to have to take anything back off. So we're going to wait a little while on that. Funny enough, I still need to hook up the heater core. It is still Home Depot Motorsports bypassed. I still need to hook that up, which will just be a matter of a couple of minutes in order to get the new lines hooked up. From there, we should be able to put the wheels on, put the car on the ground. It'll need to get in alignment because we put that new power steering rack in it, and do some road testing and see how it performs. Depending on the timing of that, I might actually install the upgraded front brakes that I got, over a year ago. I think it was before Christmas last year when I got these brakes. The guys over at Momentum Motor Parts put this kit together. So this is a Willwood 4-piston front calipers, lines, rotors, and the mounting bracket to install it. I'll of course be doing a video on that. So depending on the timing, again, it may happen before we get the rest of the car shaken down and get it back on the road, or it might happen after some mileage. It really all depends. Either way, I can't tell you. You guys remember back that first drive of the car when I started up, took it around the neighborhood, and made that really dumb face like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm so excited. I'm as excited as I was then to get this car back on the road. It's just been so long, and I'm looking forward to driving it. I'm thankful I have the R32, and that's been fun too. Actually, quick R32 update. I got a rear sway bar for it, just waiting for some time to get that installed, and we'll be doing fluids on that car again this year as well. But I am very excited to finally get this car back on the road. I think I am going to put it back together with the Golf front end at this point and hold on the Jetta front end, just in case I got to pull it all back apart. I'll have to do some wiring for the Jetta lights and things like that I'm just going to put in a holding pattern for now, I think, but we'll see. I may get crazy, at 2 a.m. So not a ton of work left to do. Again, front end, fluids, and we're pretty much back on the ground, ready to go. Oh, and for those of you that have been giving me a hard time since day one, I got a new coolant bottle coming. So don't worry, we'll be able to get rid of this nasty, gross thing. This looks terrible anyway. You guys are totally right on that. That's getting tossed, and we'll be putting a brand new one in so it'll look all freshy fresh to match the rest of the engine compartment. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Thank you for your patience on this project. Gosh, it feels like it's been forever, because it kind of has, but I'm excited to get this close to being done and then get her back on the road, hopefully within the next week or so, shake down some miles, and finally start to have some VR6 Turbo fun on top of the VR6 Wookiee fun, and it should be a good time. Guys, with that, I'm out. Have an awesome day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following this project, and I'll see you next time. I don't know where the remote went. Okie dokie, here we go.